Hello and welcome to Pathfinders Man Scouts. We are doing another episode, and what we're talking about tonight is AI, artificial intelligence. But what we really need to take into consideration is how is it relevant to our lives, to the future? Are we moving into T3 scenarios? I mean, what's really going on? We have a very special guest, Eric. He is my dear brother. I love him amazingly, deeply, wonderfully. And it's not all about man love, but I'm going to tell you, this guy is straight up. He knows a lot of stuff. He knows a lot of stuff about crypto, about finances, and he's an amazing avocado farmer. Eric, how are you?
I'm good, Tony. That sounded like a lot of man love there.
Right?
Thank you for the introduction for sure.
So, with artificial intelligence peaking, it is totally peaking right now, right? I mean, everywhere you go, like you're looking at videos online that just like, is that real? You're like questioning. Um, and voices, and it's just like what do we trust, what do we not trust, where are we, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty scary what these deep fakes and these spoofs can do. And when you start looking at it from a broader sense of what AI can do just to take over and wipe out jobs, replace some mundane jobs that people hold, it's pretty scary. There's big investments coming all over the place. The Trump administration's pushing a lot of AI, and I mean China's pushing as well. So you've got every every major nation thinks of AI right now as this a strategic defense issue, as a defense item, really. So it's just full bore trillions of dollars. The largest we talk finances once in a while, and Nvidia is the by far the most valuable company in the world right now. They make almost all the top tier AI chips are made by Nvidia, and yeah, it's a pretty wild time, as they say, wild time to be alive, or amazing time to be alive.
A lot of people are kind of asleep at the wheel. I feel they're thinking, oh, it's really cool, I can like put something, it'll help me write. It'll help me write something, catharsis, for example. It'll help write something for college. It'll help write a paper. It'll help write an ad for you. And it's pretty much eliminating a lot of the jobs like you just spoke about. Um, it just seems like what is going to happen to humanity in terms of like job replacement? Where will people be in terms of financial, like income and so on and so forth? This just seems really, really dauntingly like dark to me.
Yeah, I just read the other day Elon Musk was talking about the need for universal basic income, because you don't want to you don't want to just have a huge swath of people and we're talking about it in the world. It's not just in one country. I mean, this hits everywhere. Think about so back in my olden days, I did customer service and tech support, call center stuff. All those jobs through the 90s and 2000s, those were all offshore. They were sent to the Philippines and India, Pakistan, other low wage countries. AI functions have the opportunity to wipe them out as well, even though they're making a couple of bucks an hour. Their economies they're reliant on that. So we're talking about millions and millions of jobs, and what is scary too is that when some of these breakthroughs happen, it can be really sudden, much faster than anything we've ever seen. Like if you look at us going from a horse and buggy time, or even the telephone, that took a while. For you think about radio television as a technology that you got a couple decades maybe to kind of work through it. um, this could be really, really fast.
Totally agree. And I do not think people are considering the financial impact globally. These jobs, what will people do? It's almost like, and this could be hyper conspiratorial to a lot of people listening, but Agenda 21, Agenda 30, talking about the depopulation, the how there's too many people on the planet, too many poop factories, too much electricity being used, too much water being used, too much food consumption. And it's almost like this is like the perfect answer to that. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, you hit all those topics. If you look at the large data centers where these chips and these AI data centers are going up, they they consume a massive amount of water. They need water for cooling. They also consume a lot of water for even manufacturing these chips, and they consume a ton of energy. Like I'm sure most people have heard, they're reactivating 3 Mile Island. They want to get that nuclear reactor back online because they want the energy for it. We could very well be in a situation where these AI data centers are pulling on energy that we might normally use, and jacking up, our cost per kilowatt hour, so that the just as just paying for it as a residential customer, you may see pretty significant hits in your energy bill just because of the nature of the open market for energy. You remember the Enron scandal um, years ago. There's been a lot of those, and this has the potential to be even worse than that because it could hit the whole nation, not just kind of the Southwest, which was, or California had some pretty big wildfires going when that Enron scandal hit, and there was an audio clip of one of the energy traders, going burn baby burn, wish hoping that California would burn up because the price of energy was going higher and higher from that fire. So this happened pretty about a year or two with, in Texas as well. They had a freeze in Texas, and energy became scarce. So the nature of the capitalistic nature of energy makes it so that if an AI data center needs all the energy right now, and they've got the money to pay 10 times your current rate, you may lose because that data center's got the money, they've got the funding, and they don't want that data center to run out of power. They're going to tell you to, shut down your air conditioner or something and go outside. And so it's pretty scary. If anyone hasn't heard, there's a gentleman named Jeffrey Hinton, and he's kind of colloquially known as the godfather of AI. I've watched a couple of his videos. He's a brilliant man. He did a lot for AI early on, and he just recently retired from Google so that he could criticize where we're at with AI. So even though he was involved in the creation of a lot of these earlier AI systems, he's warning people that this is going to have a really big, a much bigger impact, especially if we're not cautious, and we just go full tilt into AI. Not necessarily talking about Terminator and Skynet, although that's a reality, and really serious. A lot of serious people are talking about that being as a potential, that it could get powerful enough and decide that we're we're a blight on the planet or something, and try to take us out. But the more relevant things that are going to impact us early are the things you're talking about, like water shortages, energy shortages, and then potentially job loss.
Well, if I could just jump in here, and I don't mean to interrupt your thought, your train of thought, but this to me, with all of the technology and with all the robotics, with all of the stuff coming about, and they're pretty much saying, we are going to put AI in your home. We're going to bring these autonomous figures, these drones, these people, these things that will make your life easier. It's almost like the Jetsons. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but when I was a kid, there was like, I forget her name, but she was a robot, and she pretty much
Rosie the robot.
Rosie the robot. Thank you. And she was just pretty much taking care of household tasks. And Jane, the wife, what was she left to do? Go off and spend money. And she was on a consumerism binge constantly throughout the video or the cartoon. And George would just be like hammering, making sure that everybody was taken care of, making sure that Astro the dog was cared for, making sure that the daughter, the son, and everything else. And they lived in this super surrealistic, futuristic home, very well, I would say 15-minute. I can talk. 15-minute city orientated, and it's like, are we that far away from that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe the good side of AI that's talked about is abundance. In that AI can extend our lives, improve medicine, improve the environment, and solve energy issues for us, solve fusion, bring fusion to the forefront.
Okay, okay,
Anything,
okay. Hold
you
on,
name it.
hold on.
Yeah,
Yeah, it has all that technology advantage. But if you look at like some of the top AI platforms, and they ask them, "How do you feel about human interaction?" And across the board, every single AI platform is saying humans are pretty much obsolete. They're a waste of energy. They're a waste of resources. They're they're just not good for the planet. They're not good for the future of this world. I mean, are you paying attention to like what they're saying? This is AI.
absolutely.
This is
Yeah.
AI saying. So what that basically means to me, and maybe I'm misunderstanding it, is that they're pretty much saying like humans are obsolete. AI is the new future, and we can move forward without human interaction. We're way smarter than you guys. We know more than anything. We know more about what's going to prosper this planet and give us longevity. But it just seems like an agenda of like them running everything. And I hate to say it, but I don't. But I think it was predictive programming. If you look at Terminator, it's like we were almost forewarned within those series, like what would eventually happen, Skynet, so on and so forth. And it just became a war against humans and the machines.
And look at Peter Thiel, guys like Peter Thiel that run Palantir and a host of other really scary companies. He's recently there's a clip you can see where he's asked by an interviewer about humanity and whether we I can't remember whether he was answering whether we should be allowed to continue or whether we're kind of worthy of it. And he doesn't say anything. He hesitates and he doesn't answer that question. So when you're a billionaire and you're looking down at the average person, they look to a billionaire like a Peter Thiel, like a somebody who's not worth anything unless they can extract labor from you. And if they don't need labor from you, then you're not that useful, I think, to somebody like him that has that perspective. So it is scary. There are positives that get talked about that could come to fruition, but there's a whole host of negatives on the other side of it. And but I mean, at this point, we seem pretty determined to just plow right into this thing. I mean, everyone.
As we were with Henry Ford, moving into vehicles, moving into the internet, and all the other things. Did they truly, at the long run, did they really benefit humanity? This might be too much of a horse and buggy issue, situation, but look at how many people are just saying no. I mean, the biggest trend right now is homesteading. The biggest trend are people detaching from the social norm and just getting out on land, growing food, having families, and working the land and doing all this stuff. There's a big, big push against this technology. And the people that are really into it are the upper echelon, in my opinion. Now, I just think that they truly actually have a financial endeavor. Like they're going to make money in the long run, but it's short lived. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the I think people getting back to their roots is always good. I think it's always going to be good for people to be more self-sufficient. We've talked many a time about that, and self-reliant. Those are ways to take steps to unplug from some of this system. But honestly, I don't think you can stop the progress of AI by just disconnecting alone. I think if you had more people that just kind of disconnected and opted out, stopped participating, I mean, you could argue how much you'd impact like the consumer economy for the average person, but I think there would still be enough people that don't want to disconnect, and they're kind of all in. And as long as these rich people like Peter Thiel and others, who get to kind of unilaterally decide the future of humanity here, because they can push it with their wallets, with their bank accounts. I think it's dangerous. And so, um, people were really worried about nuclear war for a long time through the Cold War. Now, there's a new threat, and it might be even more dangerous, or it's arguably more dangerous than nuclear war, which is the AI threat and what it can do. Um, just think for here's an example of what AI could do, or even if let's say China or some other country had a sophisticated enough AI tied back to things like CRISPR's gene editing software program that we've kind of mastered in the last year, so we can pretend like we can play God. You could invent viruses that are incredibly dangerous. So what's a dangerous virus is something like an airborne virus that's really difficult to kill itself, but it has a really long incubation period. So a couple of weeks. And if you create a virus like this, I mean, if you saw the movie.
May I interrupt you
Oops.
just for a second?
Yeah, please.
That being said, these are potential realities of futuristic thinking, thoughts, and progression of man. Do you feel that if enough people had the wherewithal and the understanding that they stopped buying product, so to speak, like stopped using AI to write a paper, to stop using AI for video editing, if people just really recognized, and if there was like combative software that said, "Oh, that's totally AI," and it took all the algorithms, it took all the thoughts, and it just said, "Yeah, you know what? We advocate against this company. We do the What if we the people, stood up and just said, 'Yeah, you know what? We don't really want to partake in that. It may seem really cool that we have a shortcut to all of these things, but if the people really woke up and they just said, you know what? We want to bring it back to basics. We want to not be involved in this complete domination and, I say, tyrannical thinking where they can now judge and tell us and dictate our thoughts, our thinking, and they could send media and they could manipulate media and so on and so forth. I mean, do you feel that that's something that could like make a change, or do you think it's too far gone?
Well, I mean, I think it helps. You're talking about a boycott of AI, and I can tell you just my own personal experience. I work during the day in the corporate world, and I can't tell you how many people, even at a senior level, that are too lazy to write an email now, let alone a paper or research. They'll let AI write emails to others to correspond because it's faster, it makes them sound better, and they don't have to spell check it or anything. And so look at the history of a platform like Facebook and other social media platforms. So I've never been a user of Facebook. I never onboarded with it. I didn't like the idea of it initially. I'm pretty, me, I'm pretty antisocial anyway. So I just didn't like the idea of what Facebook did, the loss of privacy. But look how many people didn't care. They just signed up. They put their pictures up there. They gave their privacy away. That pattern seems to kind of be, where people just they want the easy way. And when you put these tools in front, and I can tell you again from the corporate world, these tools, these AI tools, they're getting put in front of corporations every single day. They are trying to make them basically free and telling them if you use these tools, it's going to help you here, here, and here. The same way they initially gave free things, or you give free things away on the from internet platforms. It's initially all free and good, and then it gets monetized later, right? That's when they start hitting you with a subscription.
So what you're saying is that we're being offered crack cocaine as a remedy to our woes, our foes, our problems, and it's being given to us until we're addicted to it, and then we're just kind of left to like, oh my gosh, what did we do?
And even more nefarious is when they're giving you that crack, that AI crack, and you're using it, every single thing, every engagement that you have with it is being monitored and analyzed so that it can be used to make the AI, or the crack in this case, even better. You're effectively teaching that AI model how to do something better for what your use case is. Doesn't matter what it is. Could be in healthcare, could be in engineering, anything. Could be just in sales or something. So the goal of all these AI companies right now, why there's so much money floating around and chasing them, trillions and trillions of dollars, they're by far the most valuable things in the world, even making like the .com era look small in comparison to how much money is chasing it. They're all chasing it under the pretense that they're going to be able to automate whatever you're doing. And ultimately that gets, if you listen to Jeffrey Hinton, he talks about, the thing to do is to learn how to be a plumber, because that's going to be harder for AI to kind of solve, at least, until you get fully autonomous robots that are using that level of AI, and they can go, you can have an AI robot come, Rosie, or I don't know, it's Rosie the plumber that would come around and fix your water leak. But the risk is certainly there, and we could have a situation where we could lose millions of jobs to these things. And then you have, like, I think it's been a while since I've watched the Jetsons, but George, I remember in the intro, George he'd take his spaceship briefcase and or whatever he flew around in, and that would fold up, and then he'd go kick back. He'd put his feet up on the desk, and that was his day job. I think he just looked at monitors or something. I can't remember what George actually did, but it wasn't much, because AI and that future technology had made it so easy for him.
No, that's reality, and I believe that was exactly what predictive programming is all about. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, like, so are we just kind of fucked? I'm sorry. Like, are we screwed as humans? I mean, do we just kind of like, do we just fold, or do we just say? Because I'm just
No.
saying this whole system changing. Like, there are so many younger people buying property, buying land, setting up homesteads, disconnecting. But it's funny because at the same time, they're producing amazing content that are motivating other people to do so. And it's very organic in my terminology. It's like they're just doing their thing. They're done with this stuff.
Right.
Stuff. I'm trying to avoid the shazbot word, but they're like done with it, and they just want to move forward and live a life and be with their farms, be with their animals, be with their. They want to produce vegetables, fruits. They want to pretty much live off the land, and they want to be in community. I mean, it's really huge. It's really the biggest thing, the biggest movement I think I've ever seen. So, yeah, I just feel like people are just saying no. But there's a lot of people in the inner cities and the very condensed areas that are just like, oh, AI is so cool. And I have to admit, I used AI to write something for me the other day. And it's like, and people go, that's really well said. I go, well, it didn't come from me. It's just like,
That's
it's
yeah.
scary because that's like,
That's how it starts,
we
right?
get you're right. It's the crack cocaine scenario. It's like, hey man, just take a little bit of this. And all of a sudden now
Yeah.
you're producing websites, you're producing content, you're doing all these things that are completely and totally moving you to an easier, simple path of life. And my son is so pissed off. I sent him I took a picture and AI put it into movement, and he goes, "That's total AI. What's wrong with you? You know, paying homage to the machine." It's like, what's wrong with you? I mean, he really got all over my case, and I go, "Hey, I just thought it was kind of a cool thing," but that's what we do. We get fixated and we get consumed with the easiness of it all, and yet, like, how do we identify what AI is? Like, I'm looking at something today, and it looked like something that was filmed, but yet it was not. It was actually AI driven. So I think we're in a very, very kabuki theater at this point.
Yeah, it's going to get harder and harder to recognize AI. That's part of the design, and they'll get it to the point where almost like how special effects evolved. You see special effects that look so real. It's almost indiscernible. It's indistinguishable maybe from practical effects in many ways. Um, it'll get better and better, especially with deep fakes, because there's so much you can do so much with deep fakes. Um, think about how much money you can make off of deep fakes if you could fake Vladimir Putin getting on the air and saying something one way or the other, and if you knew that that was going to happen and there'd be some kind of reaction, whether it's you're going to start a war or do something else, it would influence financial markets. And if you were the one that had queued that up and created it, you could pre-position yourself to make millions or billions of dollars off of a spike in fear or whatever.
Exactly.
We're gonna certainly face more of those, and we may be even in situations where a deep fake happens and it's denied on the other side, and then you don't know what the truth is. We have no way of knowing.
Okay.
We'll divide on party lines like we always do, and Team Blue will say this,
So, all that being said, and I acknowledge what you're saying, and I'm in total agreement. What do you feel in your heart of hearts, the thing that may or may not keep you up at night? What do you feel that we should be doing as humans dealing with this new technology? Like, what is the answer? What can we do to rectify, to change the course of what's happening with AI?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first step is like your son had the right reaction. Is you should be frustrated that somebody's using AI without just to make it just to be to be lazy. If you the other think about things like this. If we stop writing, I told you about a colleague who won't even write emails. If we stop writing, whatever it is, if it's a speech, I think in your case, or an email, we'll lose those skills. We'll lose them like we have lost cursive. Most people can't read cursive or write it. We'll lose those skills to be able to read and write. So what are we as a society after we do that? So this is very much the devil here tempting us with that crack that you said. We have to resist that temptation. We have to try to do what we do. I think we need to be educated about the threats of AI and how this is a danger to our society and how we live. Even if it doesn't terminate or Skynet us, it still has an opportunity to relegate human beings and just being what it is to be human to kind of a life of a, a really bleak life where you don't write things, you don't contribute to things, you're completely dependent on AI to serve you and sustain you. So I think coming back to what you said, be as independent as you can, be as removed from the system as you can be. It's hard to be 100% removed, but every little bit helps. And be aware that those threats are out there, and you've got billionaires like Peter Thiel and others, many others, Bill Gates and Bezos, that have a lot of power and want more power, more money, and more influence over you. And AI is a tool that they're leveraging to do that. So if we thought that there was income and wealth inequality in the last 20 or 30 years, we haven't seen anything yet, because the amount of money that's going to get, the amount of capital that's going to flow into these companies that dominate AI is going to be mind-boggling.
And they're changing what they're saying about AI, and they're talking about it being real-time reality. It's almost like they're redefining what AI is and the next level. I mean, everybody's coming up with new terminology for the advancement. But again, I really go back to, what do you feel we can do to be an intercessory, to combat, to deal with this, like, which I feel is like kind of the end of humanity. I just really do feel that. Honestly, people say I'm crazy. I think it's Terminator 5.0. I think that's where we're headed if we're not going to pay attention. So, what do you feel that we can do? Like, do we throw our hands up and go, There's nothing we can do. Are we
No,
SOL, or is there something
no.
we can do?
Yeah, I think we're doing it. We're talking about it right now, which is I'm glad we got time to talk about AI here because it's such an important game changer for humanity. And so I think we have to talk about it. I think people need to be aware of it. It's not just spooky, uh, you know, doom and gloom. The AI is a clear and present, real danger. Listen to Jeffrey Hinton. Uh, Go look at it. He's done numerous interviews. He quit. He quit his job so he could warn people about it. So this has got somebody who made breakthroughs in AI, telling you this is really dangerous. You need to pay attention because it's out of his hands at this point, right? He can't stop it. One individual can't stop it. So collectively, I think we can. Um, we should have whether it's a Geneva Convention type global agreement that we're going to we work cautiously and carefully with AI. These things are more dangerous than nukes potentially, as we
Okay.
were talking about.
Okay, listen,
So
listen. I'm a huge Trump supporter. I love Trump. I think he's great, but I am really, really concerned about the thing that he put into play, where we can't touch this for 10 years.
yeah, it's worrisome, and I think he's being advised by people who believe that we'll win. The United States will. This is kind of we'll win the AI race, and we'll use it to uh, dominate China if we need to. However, we need to dominate them and keep them in check, and we'll use it for a force of good. I think that's I think that's probably what kind of advice Trump is getting with AI. He doesn't I don't believe Trump understands AI at a real deep level. He's relying on advisors, I think, to tell him for the most part where we go with these things. And I think the message that he's received is this is an arms race. It's like the race for the nuke, like the Manhattan Project. We need full bore, all money, everyone working 110% to get, to beat China, to beat Russia, to beat any other country in the world, frankly. And these tech companies are the ones that we're working with, and they're the ones that stand to make all this. The other day, the Trump administration just made a huge investment in Intel. Intel is, they're a chip manufacturer, but have been completely eclipsed by Nvidia and others. Their stock has been hammered down, and they're devalued. Trump just invested, I think, $10 million in Intel, and then he bought into the company, and he's supporting them because he wants U.S. chips made in the United States, which makes sense. To have things made in the United States versus everything made in Taiwan, which is many of them are made. Taiwan Semiconductor makes a lot of these chips, but I think that's where Trump's coming from. If I give him the benefit of the doubt, getting everyone around the table in the world to agree to some kind of AI arms race is probably going to be really hard to do at this point. But I think everyone needs to be educated about AI because it's going to have an impact. Like I said, I think before, sooner rather than later, the impact on AI is going to be really big. It's going to impact you. You're going to know people that just lose their job because AI is skirting around it or impacting it.
Yeah. Um, I mean, everybody's using everything and anything against Trump, and I don't want to go too deep into all that, but man, I just think we're so vulnerable. We're just like we're a precedence right now of a world market change, a world economy change, and a world humanity change. I just feel that very deeply. I don't think we should be taking this lightly, and I think that we should be having some sort of control over the future of AI. And again, I pose the question, what do you feel would be the best course of action to combat this new future technology?
A massive EMP. Um,
Okay. Okay, that's not helpful.
yeah, it's probably well.
But I
Yeah.
mean, in
So
terms of humanity, like, what do we do? Do we sit on our laurels? Do we just like, oh, that's really cool. I got something writing my papers. I got something building my website. I got making my, I don't have to hire a firm to deal with my legal issues. I mean, like,
right.
I mean, honestly, I mean, okay, that's really cool in the interim, in the short term, but it's really long term effect. SOL, we are FO. Yeah, FO. We are, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? We're
Well, that's
bad.
a good point you made too, because if I could pick and choose, I'd love AI to wipe lawyers out. No offense to any lawyers, but if we could, and even the judicial process, everything that we do with that. I mean, if you could just not have lawyers, maybe some good would come in the world. But unfortunately, you won't just lose lawyers, right? We'll lose other jobs, and other people will be impacted by this as their jobs get kind of automated out and they don't have a purpose. um I really, it's still early. I mean, AI is still relatively, um I think everyone getting educated and educating themselves and understand where they stand in this argument and what we're on the precipice of is the way forward. And I think we need to be talking about it and learning about it and staying up to speed with it. It's not easy to keep up with the speed that AI is moving. It's really, really rapid. Every couple of weeks, couple of months, there's new developments, that there's new breakthroughs happening. So they're moving at light speed, and we're only getting kind of snippets of the headlines of some of the progress that they're making. So I think everyone just needs to be aware of this as a threat and as an issue. And we're making a decision. If you choose to use ChatGPT to write a paper for yourself or write a speech for yourself, you're making that realize you're making that conscious choice to use it. It's not a free transaction either. And I mean, even if you're paying for ChatGPT, you're still paying for it because you're teaching that tool, you're teaching that AI how to do something by the very fact of you engaging with it, and realize that that's part of the problem if you do it. If you're repeating that, and especially if you're a business leader or a decision maker at a company that can decide to turn on AI to wipe out a large portion of your workforce, you're making that choice, and it shouldn't be applauded. So in the same way, back in the day, there were lots of riots against automation and other things. As machinery came in and started to take out true craftsmen and tradesmen that were working and doing these things. There were quite a few riots. I think the Pinkerton organization in the United States had a big hand in suppressing and some of those riots and those people who are trying to rise up as individuals. um it's going to, all of it gets political really fast, but you just have to realize that it's not free. It does have an impact. And AI can be used for good in some situations, but there's so many risks that there's no one kind of group controlling any of this AI function either, which is scary.
Right.
And in fact, I mean, I guess I'd even say that there's a couple of individuals that control a lot of it. That's where it's kind of siloed up at this point. It,
So I guess, man, I'm sorry. I just keep being redundant in this question. But what can we do? How can we combat this, in your opinion?
yeah, I don't know what else we can do aside from that right now. I mean, you raised a good point about Trump and the political aspect of it. It's interesting that AI seems to kind of be apolitical right now. I don't see either side.
So, in terms of us as
Promise of making a bunch of money. So I haven't seen it hasn't become a political issue, which is interesting because it is a big threat.
because we're being bamboozled into believe this thing, and now with the 10-year moratorium, it's just like people need to rise up. And I don't want to move into ultra political ideology, But it's the same thing that happened when Israel was like bombing the crap out of Gaza. And it's like, I mean, we could go on and on. That's a whole thing, but I'm not going to go there. But I just did. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, what can we do right now to combat AI?
Well, right now, I think most people, as you started, they're not aware. They're kind of asleep at the wheel with this. Um, they don't know that much about it, and I think if we're going to combat it, it has to be done at a grassroots level. And for that to succeed, people have to recognize there's a threat. There's no recognition that this thing's a threat. It's really a wolf in sheep's clothing because it's behaving like it's here to
Well,
help you.
hold on. There are there are percentages, there are sectors within the population that feel that AI is a major threat. And it might be the hardcore Terminator people that have been following that, but I'm kind of being punny, trying to be a little funny, but at the same time, the reality is like this stuff has the potential of taking on Terminator. I mean,
Right.
it could go that
But
way. That's hyper conspiratorial, but at the same time, when you ask AI, how do you feel about humanity? They're pretty much, they're saying that they're pretty much obsolete. So anyway, we're kind of running out of time here. What are your closing thoughts? What do you feel we should do? I mean, what would you say to people that are listening that would be something that could be combative to this AI technology and what they should be doing and what word we should be spreading to humanity?
yeah, listen to or read more about Jeffrey Hinton and others like him that are warning about AI. That's the first thing I think that would help everyone understand from someone who has worked in AI. That to me, carries a lot of weight when you have an individual like that that worked on it.
Okay,
And
let's
so,
put his link in the description. And what other information should we put out there for people to acknowledge, to
so
read, to spend some time with?
how many people have you personally talked to that have talked to you about AI and the risks and the dangers of it?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I've sent my son, like I said, a still photography of me when I graduated BOC. And he just goes, "That's total AI, blah, blah, blah." It's like, and I even sent him some other stuff that I thought was really encouraging with Jordan Peterson. I love the guy. And he goes, "That's AI." I mean, he's like calling out anything and everything as AI. So, yeah, I'm pretty much on the home front getting nailed to the cross from my son. I love him dearly, but my God, can you just back off a little bit? I'm just trying to send you some content that I believe in. But nevertheless, he's
So this
trying
is
to send the warning signal. He's trying to help people understand, that's really cool, but that's not okay.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And he's sending a good signal. And this is the first time you and I have talked about it. There are people talking about AI as a threat, but and what to do about it. But I think we're at these early stages where it really isn't even a political issue right now. It's which is odd because it has the chance to take out more jobs than anyone's ever imagined.
Oh
So
my
you'd think
goodness, that's a whole
it,
nother podcast.
yeah.
Okay,
So,
hey
but
Eric,
I think
I hate to cut you short. We have run out of time. I'm trying to keep these on a certain time frame, but we have so much more to talk about. Let's do another one. Let's dive deeper, longer, and harder. And I really appreciate what you're saying. So, to our listeners, I just want to let you know that we have an organization called Pathfinders Man Scouts. If you're looking for more self-reliance, if you're looking to join like-minded people that learn, understand what it means to be independent of this present culture, to unplug from the matrix, go to Pathfinders Man Scouts. The subsidiary to that is areyoureadyfor.com. Areyoureadyfor.com is kind of a further extension of what we're doing. We're offering more and more classes. Areyoureadyfor.com, School of Self-Reliance, will help you understand what you need to do to prepare yourself to evaluate your life situation, to do security overwatch, provisional understanding of what it means to care for your family and community. If you're interested, go to pathfindersmanscouts.com and go to areyoureadyfor.com. We have most tools at the ready for you if that is what you need to do, if that's what you want to understand. Do you have any closing thoughts at this time, Eric?
No, that's it, Tony. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
All right, you guys. Hey, this is Tony. Love you guys. Just remember, keep your head on a swivel. Don't buy the mainstream media, what I call lamestream media, ridiculous ideology thought. Be your own thinker. Do some critical analysis. Do some deep dives. Don't listen to everything they're saying, and just understand that we are a team. What are we a team of? Humanity. All right. Good night, you guys. Nice talking to you.